Well, greetings. I'm glad you've taken the time to join us. It's Pastor George from Riverside Community Church, and we're looking at Bible wisdom, wisdom for everyday living, from the book of Proverbs. And this day we're looking at the pursuit of wisdom in Proverbs chapter 2. We are in pursuit today, in pursuit of wisdom, God's wisdom. And the Bible contrasts two types of wisdom: God's wisdom and the world's wisdom. Jesus in the gospel calls us to be wise, to have wisdom. But this wisdom is very unlike the world's wisdom. Godly wisdom is pure and gentle and reasonable, peace-loving, impartial, and sincere. Worldly or secular wisdom tends to be self-centered. And how desperately we need God's wisdom in our lives today. We're studying the biblical book of Proverbs, and we're in chapter 2 today. And I call this chapter the Pursuit of Wisdom chapter. The world, by earthly wisdom, has never known God. At no time, in no country, among no people, has man, by his own earthly wisdom, ever been able to know God or make God known to his fellow humans. There is a vast difference between earthly wisdom and heavenly wisdom. Listen to what James writes in the 3rd chapter of James. He says this: "If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life, doing good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you are bitterly jealous and there is a selfish ambition in your heart, don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying, for jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom." That's earthly. "Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind." Verse 17, "But the wisdom from above is first of all pure. It is also peace-loving, gentle at all times, and willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and the fruit of good deeds. It shows no favoritism and is always sincere." Earthly, in the first part of that reading from James, refers to a mindset that does not consider God's sovereign rule or his will. And such earthly wisdom, unlike true biblical wisdom, is not rooted in the fear of the Lord. I am belaboring this point. Earthly wisdom is not God's wisdom. Listen to what other scriptures say about the stark difference between man's wisdom and God's wisdom. Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 3, "Stop deceiving yourselves. If you think you are wise by this world's standards, you need to become a fool to be truly wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God." Solomon writes in Proverbs, "Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord," there's the beginning of wisdom, "and turn away from evil." And again in Proverbs 16:25, Solomon records this: "There is a way that seems right to a man." There is a way that seems right in man's wisdom, right to the man, but its end is the way of death. Then that great prophet Isaiah records in Isaiah 5:21, "Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight." Having said all that, let me read to you from Proverbs chapter 2, which instructs us to passionately pursue God's wisdom. Proverbs 2. "My child, Listen to what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would for silver and seek them like hidden treasures. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain knowledge of God. I hope you won't find this too boring as I seek to explain how ancient Jewish poetry is written, but I think it's important as we read Proverbs and as we seek to understand exactly what it is saying. Proverbs is a book of poetry, and it's usually utilizing couplets. That is, there's two lines, and these two lines in Proverbs, they do not rhyme in sounds, they rhyme in thought. So we would say, roses are red, violets are blue, and we would rhyme that blue with you. They don't do that. They're rhyming the thought. So in the couplet, the second line is saying the same thing as the first line, but in a different way. You can also have rhyming opposite thoughts. In other parts, we'll see that. So in Proverbs 2, we find words like understanding, discernment, knowledge, the knowledge of God, even the fear of the Lord, all referring to God's wisdom that we are to pursue. So let me read again verses 2 to 5 and just use the word wisdom and not the similar other words that go along with that. And I think you'll see what we are to do and how we are to pursue wisdom, God's wisdom. Tune your ears to wisdom. Concentrate on getting wisdom. Cry out for wisdom. Ask for wisdom. Search for wisdom as you would silver. Seek wisdom like hidden treasures. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, have wisdom, and you will gain knowledge of God. You will have wisdom. We are called by God Almighty to action. Believers, we are called by God Almighty to pursue His wisdom, to seek it, search for it, cry out for it, concentrate on getting wisdom in how we need wisdom. Last week in chapter 1 of Proverbs, we learned that the fear of the Lord is the beginning point of wisdom, and that the fear of the Lord is to hate evil and to love good, just like God does. This week in chapter 2 of Proverbs, we learn that godly wisdom is not the world's wisdom, and it is godly wisdom we need to pursue, search for, and concentrate on obtaining. Going back to the book of James, we read that if anyone lacks wisdom, they are to ask God for it, and He will give it liberally. We often ask for wisdom from God because it's from Him. Proverbs 2 says it this way, "For the Lord grants wisdom. From His mouth come knowledge and understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to Him." God gives wisdom, and the results of having wisdom, God's wisdom, will be a shield to you and a guard on your path, and it will be a protection to you. This week, several Peterborough pastors met via Zoom with our member of Provincial Parliament, MPP Dave Smith, and he started our meeting together with a request that we would pray for him, and specifically pray for him that God would give him wisdom. And secondly, that he would have the fortitude to apply that wisdom. Exactly. That is exactly what Proverbs 2 is telling you and I. Get wisdom. Pursue it. Ask for it. Proverbs 2 goes on to say that wisdom will protect you from evil men and the adulterous woman. And most importantly, wisdom will guide you onto the right path, give you joy, and keep you safe. Let me read verse 9, 10, and 11 to you of Proverbs chapter 2. Then you will understand what is right. This is, you're pursuing it, wisdom. And when you get it, then you will understand what is right, just, and fair. And you will find the right way to go. God leads us through wisdom, and we find the right way. Verse 10, for wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will fill you with joy. Wise choices will watch over you. Understanding will keep you safe. Isn't that what we need? Isn't that this what we want? This wisdom of God. How shall we then live? We need God's wisdom. Proverbs 1 and 2 laid a foundation of what wisdom is. There'll be more practical wisdom as we go on, but chapter 1 and 2 is getting this foundation of what wisdom is, where does wisdom come from, and what wisdom will do for us. And in chapter 2, it underscores our part to have wisdom. We must personally pursue wisdom, seek it, search for it with keen desire and with passion. If you do not pursue wisdom, you will not have it. I encourage you, increase your desire, your passion for godly wisdom. We need this. You need this. I need this. We need to pursue it. And we need to seek God's wisdom, because we will know the right path then to follow. We will have direction in our life. We will have a far more peaceful life. One thing you can do is measure yourself on the wisdom scale, on God's wisdom scale. Measure yourself, challenge yourself to increase and seek for wisdom. Let me close with a benediction written in the Hebrew poetical way. You'll appreciate this. May God give you wisdom. May God give you abundant wisdom as you search for the knowledge of God. And may the Lord grant unto you understanding, for from his mouth comes fresh discernment. The Lord bless you. Let me encourage you to subscribe and join us on Facebook. Join in. Let's be the church. We can't meet together. We're so limited, but we can meet online. And I encourage you to do that. And may God give you abundant wisdom as you search for the knowledge of God. Blessings.